Nou ja, die stof is nog nie gaan lê na hierdie onderhoud van of hierdie Withuis kantoorafspraak van Ramaphosa nie. En hier by my sit advokaat Richard Botha en ons wil eens gou vinnig deur 'n paar punte gaan, maar ons gaan veral op een aspek fokus en dit is die genocide, soos hulle in Engels sê, of die volksmoord. Ek dink, Richard, dit is waar ons mense nie mooi die ding verstaan nie. Want hulle dink 'n genocide is wanneer die moorde plaasgevind het en die mense lê in die strate, dan het die massamoord plaasgevind.
Maybe we should explain it to the people first. Okay, maybe if we can go and look at the actual United Nations description of what genocide is, because I think that's important before we get into the actual looking at what they say. What do you think?
Ek dink wat ons gaan doen is, kom ons wys dit gou eers vir ons mense die antwoord wat Ramaphosa vir Trump gegee het, toe een van die joernaliste vir hom gevra het, is there a genocide in South Africa?
Okay, yeah, well, let's go.
Trek weg met hom.
Well, I can answer that for the president. It's for him. No, seriously.
Stop hom gou. Ek het in 'n kommentaar gesien dat dit wat Ramaphosa hier gedoen het, was eintlik nie regte protokol in die in presidensiële gesprekke nie. Trump hy moes vir Trump gevra het om te antwoord en hy het hom sommer gevat en gesê, well, I can answer that. En jy sal sien Trump se reaksie. Hy was amper half los hom maar, hy sê laat hy sy graf vir hom grawe en hy's besig om sy graf te grawe.
I think they prepped this. I'm going to be honest, because everything that Trump has been saying all along, the genocide, they knew that was going to be part of the conversation. And I think that the arrogancy of the delegation that went is that they thought they could dominate the situation. And I think that was preempted. You know what I mean? I think that the interruption was preempted to try and look at the holding of the narrative.
Ek hoor. Met ander woorde, kom ons luister gou wat sê Ramaphosa dan oor die spesifieke punt.
Our president will respond to you. Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me.
Well, so yeah, you see, if you want to change a narrative, create the lie.
To their stories.
If you want to change the narrative, create the lie. Look what he did to the Minister of Agriculture. He split the agricultural portfolio, and he gave all the power to the ANC person, and he gave the rest to Steenhuisen. Remember when that happened?
That department
is split in two.
It's agricultural, rural, and
development, and then there's agriculture. So he took the rural development and everything out of it, and he gave him the agriculture. So I mean,
so sit dit nie vir Steenhuisen nou in 'n posisie waar hy nou moet kies, gaan hy nou sy die mense wat vir hom gestem het, gaan hy hulle kompromiseer of wat compromise, of gaan hy of moet hy nou die ANC regering aan die gang hou?
Well, you see, the problem is that if you listen to his answer, it's a straightforward ANC answer.
Kom ons luister.
Their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have
news stories.
And then, is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Let me see the articles, please, if you would. And turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
there's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission.
Okay, ek dink ons gaan hom aanjaag. Ons het nou hierdie gesien. Die meeste van ons mense het gesien. Hierdie is nou maar dit wat julle nou binne in hierdie kan basies sien is maar net die reaksie.
But you know what's interesting? While he's finding the spot, you know what's interesting? Where did Julius Malema come from? He was in the position of head of the ANC Youth League. So where do you think he learned his rhetoric from? Because it said that he started in the ANC when he was 10 years old. So where did he learn his rhetoric from? Where did he learn his philosophy from? From the ANC. I mean, you've already shown, I saw that clip you put out the other day where politicians talk from...
Ons gaan so 'n bietjie rondspring tussen die verskillende video's, maar ons gaan daai nou gou vir julle wys. Luister net gou hierso waaroor dit gaan. Ons het hierdie onderhoud is uittreksels wat uit 'n kyknet onderhoud plaasgevind het en waarin die 4 persone wat julle gaan sien hierso praat en hoe dit vir ons gesê word dat politici uit 2 monde praat. Kom ons hoor gou wat sê Jordan Peterson oor die situasie.
People do what they say they'll do. That's my view. You want to know what Hitler was going to do? Read Mein Kampf.
Wanneer die ANC praat met sy eie mense, Fikile Mbalula, die president, die adjunkpresident, en sê die onteieningswet gaan ons gebruik om te onteien, praat hy met sy eie gehoor. Maar jok hy dan? Nee, maar wag nou, alle politici doen dit. Alle politici praat met sy gehoor en dan wanneer hy buite toe praat, het hy 'n bietjie van 'n ander prentjie.
Which one's the truth?
En wat se kanaal gebruik ons?
He's made a statement. Listen to the statement now. Listen to it carefully. He says politicians talk when they talk to their own people, they talk one way. When they talk to other people, they talk a different way. So which one's the truth?
Exactly.
Is the expropriation that they talk to their own people that they get their votes from, is that the truth, or is it the lie that they tell outside that nothing's going to happen?
So we need to ask the question from Jordan Peterson. He said, everyone
tells the truth.
Believe what they say.
Believe what they say. And who do you believe? Do you believe it when they're telling international donors who they want their money, or do you believe it when they're telling their people who they want their votes
from? I would
from?
rather believe them here.
Well, this is where they stay. This is where their power is established. This is where everything's happening.
Because they can lie to the other guys, but these oaks...
and the other guys aren't always looking at them.
Yeah.
Remember, the other guys have their own problems, and they're dealing with their own internal hassles, and they're dealing with all their the international world as a whole. South Africa is a little speck on the bottom of Africa.
Kom ons luister gou.
Om die woorde wat hulle gebruik wanneer hulle in 'n spesifieke audience praat te gaan verabsoluteer. Want die oomblik wat hulle na buite toe kom, dan doen hulle dit nie.
You know, when you think people hide their motives, it's like, no, most people aren't sophisticated enough to have 2 personalities. The well-developed lie and the actual plan.
You see, so now if we go back to the interview in the White House, and you use this as your frame of reference, you'll see how when confronted with the truth, they start lying, and it starts falling apart, and everything starts... And denial.
Lie and deny.
Just denial. And remember that word denial, because that word denial is an extremely important point, because it forms part of genocide.
Correct. But let's play this one a little bit further, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Then.
Ibrahim, I see you want to get in here.
Prof Venter is absolutely right. Every politician speaks in that way with John Steenhuisen does the same thing. Absolutely. He'll speak from both sides of his mouth.
But every form chooses to believe them.
Sadly, Brendan Horner's case is not an answer.
So dit is presies wat hy nou sê. John Steenhuisen speaks of both sides of his mouth.
Okay, so which is the truth? Why don't we go and see what he says in the White House to the president of the president of the most powerful country
Jy kan ons so 'n bietjie aanjaag na die videoetjie jaag. Nadat hy gepraat het, daar so begin hulle praat en praat, dan kan jy dan 'n bietjie terug, nog so 'n bietjie terug. Ja, sê, net so 'n bietjie terug nog. Maar alhoewel ons weet nou hy gaan hom nou sê.
If they flee
Do you feel that maybe the economy could collapse? You may not have a gap to fill in those people that need replaced.
You know, I'd like my Minister of Agriculture.
Come, let's hear what the minister has to say.
White, who comes from
Die agterkommissie so wit, hy is baie rooi.
Who's joined my government at my invitation to address
his invitation.
This very issue, the question that you just
government.
But there's supposed to be a government of national, although he is the president. You know what I mean.
Okay, give it.
We got to give some authenticity to his statement.
All right.
But we can hear now it is his.
Okay, it is his, exactly. And he's the president of the ANC.
Yeah.
John?
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you for welcoming us to the White House. I would say we have a rural safety problem in South Africa. I don't think anyone wants to candy coat that. And it requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. It's going to require different strategy to be able to deal with it. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too there have a memorial to those who've died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime.
Okay,
and it affects all farmers.
Listen to that.
Hold your thought. Just interesting in terms of body language. Look how he's watching at this person. He's not even addressing.
He doesn't want to address the president.
Yeah.
No. Now, if you listen to what he just said, first of all, he's acknowledged that there's a memorial.
Exactly.
That has been enshrined to commemorate victims of this crime. Now,
and the Nampo monument is different than the others. The names are
there. Yes, they're all there.
Everyone.
Every single one. So there's an admittance. I mean, Cyril said
there's no killing of farm.
There's no killing of white farmers. It's not happening. In actual fact, more black farmers than white farmers are being killed. He's saying, no, it is happening. And listen to the rest of the rhetoric, which is ANC rhetoric. What is it? We are busy. We are busy doing this. We are busy doing that. We are going to. He has been minister for almost a year now. Now let's do a comparative to what Trump has established in 100 days. I mean, he's changed the world. All he had to do was make farm murders a priority crime. But he's still busy.
But he said he's going to, listen.
But he's still busy.
South Africa, particularly stock theft, has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen
something else.
Are both leaders.
Just pause a little bit. We're going to go back to the two individuals
here. We'll talk to that now. Yes.
Just to go a little bit back, he said, and we are going to make stock theft and farm murders a priority. So we will keep John Steenhuisen.
But why hasn't he done it already?
Exactly.
I mean, he's been in for a year. How long does it take to make it a priority? All he has to do is go to the president, who he meets with on a regular basis, and say, Mr. President, make this a priority crime.
Funny enough, I learned this morning, is that the state flats, the what you call it, the benders, no, the gangs,
flats,
the gangsters stuff now, that area is declared a priority area for in this context.
Yeah.
So
why hasn't he done it?
And why is there still gangsters going on there? I mean, if it's priority, why can't they sort it out?
You see, I think there has to be the will.
Or is the priority only to keep stats of it? Because one of the reasons South Africa is experiencing this is they want to start denying the fact that we have farm murders. I also learned that the Minister of Police is basically changing the definition of a farm murder.
Correct, I've heard that too. And
that he wants to make it so it means that a farm murder can only be a farmer on a farm.
Yes.
His farm.
Yes.
That's the only farm murder. Terwyl ons weet dat die boere deesdae meeste van hulle of baie van hulle bly op dorpe. Hulle bly nie eens meer op hulle plase nie. Die ander rede hoekom plaasmoorde ook afneem is as gevolg van ons weet in die afname in kommersiële boere of gewone boere en dan ook daai boere se sekuriteit lyk al soos Fort Knox. So jy kan nie meer inkom daar nie. So hulle is al baie skerper. Die boere het hulle veiligheid baie opgeskerp en dis als dra by tot die feit dat die plaasmoorde en plaasaanvalle ietwat laer is.
I think if it was left, if everyone was left up to their own devices, you'd probably not have any farmers left. But let's be honest. I mean, if we look at the decline in the number of farmers that there is in the country, we've gone from probably close to 150,000 down to the low 30,000s. So there has to be a decline.
But if we can go back, as ons net kan teruggaan weer na waar Ramaphosa praat, waar die video gespeel word en waar hy vra, Mr. President, did they tell you where it was? Kom ons gaan gou na daai stukkie. Kyk na sy liggaamstaal. Kyk al, ek's die ou en hy vry die neus. Kyk dan,
he's uncomfortable.
Kyk hy so kyk hy weet nie wat om te maak nie. Kyk en Trump kyk vir die televisie. Vir hom en dan kyk die televisie. Kyk af. En kyk hom nou. Kyk. Hier kom het. Hy praat met sy eie mense. Hy kyk na hulle.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced that it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be
Net gou 'n bietjie terug voor dit. Net gou 'n bietjie terug voor dit waar hy sy voet net so afval. Hy so kruisbeen gesit. Nog 'n bietjie terug. Waar hy kruisbeen gesit het en toe net waar hy die kruisbeen daar sê, net daar.
1,000 of them. They're all white farmers. The family of white farmers.
And those cars are driving
to stop there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road you have crosses.
Kom het nou.
Those people were all killed.
Where is that?
Where is that?
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President?
Well, let's
I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen.
But that shows the president has never seen. The president has never seen the people trying to bring it to his attention what is going on.
Awareness of farm murders.
I mean, they tried to do that, and where was the mainstream media?
Exactly.
Why wasn't that on mainstream news so that the president of South Africa could know what's going on in his own country?
Richard, en wie was die interessantste ding van daai videoetjie wat hy sê hy nie gesien het nie? Is die helikopter het so gevlieg, dan het die kruise was so langs die pad gewees en dan het die voertuie die optog gehad en aan die einde van die helikopter so na die einde toe gegaan, dan was daar 'n banier oor die pad gespan wat sê Ramaphosa, when will this end? Ramaphosa, when will this end? So daai videoetjie sê jy vir my, het hy nie gesien nie.
Well, he's claiming he didn't. He's claiming, I mean, I can't remember which towns it was put between, but those crosses were put between two towns. They stretched from one town to the next. And he's claiming he didn't see it.
Correct.
So now either he's telling the truth or he's lying. Now I would think that something of that magnitude, with an impact on a major international or major national road, should have made it to the president. So he's either lying over here or he's absolutely incompetent and he doesn't know what's going on in his own country.
Ek dink weet wat ons gaan doen is wat ons hierso sien is ook en ons wil vir ons almal wat ons regtig waar ondersteun in die aspek van plaasmoordoptogte en die bewusmaak van plaasmoordoptogte. Ons wil vir julle eintlik sê dankie. Dankie dat julle dit doen. Ons wil vir die mense by die Witkruis Monument sê dankie vir julle aanhoudende volhoubare die aanhoudende volhou van julle aksies. Ons weet die mense wil dit doen vir die saak en vir die hart en uit dit gebeur die bewusmaking. Ek dink plaasmoorde het nou die hoogtepunt bereik. En ons moet dit nou druk en dryf. Ons moet dit aanhou doen totdat hulle baie meer doen, maar ek wil eintlik vir jou sê is, ek weet nie wat ons wil bereik daarmee nie. Wat kan ons?
No, you see what we have to do, and it's exactly what Trump was saying. We need to reverse the blatant racism and the blatant hatred that has found itself into legislation in South Africa. I mean, if you look at this rhetoric that they're putting out as the reason for reparations of the past and restitution for the past, why is it that if all these laws and all these things being put in place for restitution of the past, why is it that the gap between the rich and the poor Africans has actually increased?
Africans we're talking on.
I'm talking Africans. I'm not talking. The whites have been impoverished. We never had white squatters camps. You can go around the Witwatersrand area, around Pretoria, all over the place. You're going to find white squatters camps. So I'm not even talking about the whites. I'm talking about the difference between the blacks. That has increased. So all those laws and all those things that they've put into place hasn't solved the problem. It's made a few people rich, just a few, and it's impoverished the rest.
Let's get back to the genocide topic.
Yes.
Sorry,
I got a bit carried away.
No, true. That fits into that, because that actually triggers the next point that I want to make.
Yeah.
Is we realized, or we know that in the 1994, the white people's percentage of the population was about 20 to 25%, something in there. It is now 7%.
No, we were at around, I think, at 15% at that stage.
I watched, and they said actually 20%.
Yeah.
But somebody said, it could be even more. So let's say 20%. But it reduced from then to now to 7%. Now it could be two sides. We could have become smaller, or they could have become more, So
I think it's a bit of both.
A bit of both. I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
No, well, look, I've heard of many incidences.
But
where,
what I want to say to you as well, in terms of the genocide, could the fact that we're talking about a systemic genocide happening, could that also
be the cause?
Be the cause for the reduction?
Of course. Because you see, we live in a modern world now. You don't have to kill the person anymore. Genocide is when you can remove that which you don't want and send them somewhere else. Yeah, part of genocide, kill them right there on the spot, and there's the bodies, there the bodies lie. But if you remove them out of your borders, you've created the same effect.
So you are now triggering something in my head now. The word that we are using is transformation. So can we not say that transformation can be a subtle
form of genocide?
Yeah.
Well, let's go and look at the meaning of genocide.
But before you do that,
we can come back to this. I think it fits in.
Let's talk to the view, Tani. Let's show them just first the view.
Okay.
Then we're going to show them exactly. Show us the view video.
Oh, you mean old Whoopi Goldberg?
Whoopi Goldberg.
That's right.
She is also this one. We can next.
Interesting woman. Well.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to show Rob Hersov as well. Just something, but Whoopi.
Yeah, let's listen to this wonderful well of
So,
truth.
South African President Ramaphosa paid a visit to the White House yesterday, which turned into a surprise presentation on conspiracy theories of a white genocide in his
Conspiracy
country.
Theories.
Take a look.
Yeah, many people.
Don't you notice?
Okay,
don't you notice that whenever a person wants to deny the truth, it becomes a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Whenever they want to deny the truth, it's always a conspiracy theory.
Exactly.
And I think that mantra gets repeated over and over and over, especially by mainstream media. It's a conspiracy theory. But now, if you look at the video that was shown,
yes,
I mean, it was Malema.
It was real videos.
Chanting, real videos, saying the words, doing everything. It was white crosses representing those who have died, and with the Minister of Agriculture admitting
that
those have died, yet it's a conspiracy theory. Now, how does that work? I mean, he's government, the Minister of Agriculture is government. Can we not, is he not telling the truth because he's white? Must be, hey. Or is it that that's actually the truth? So where was the conspiracy? Where's the non-truth? Because if we can prove that everything over there that we saw in that video represents a step towards genocide, then...
So we're saying towards genocide, but we should actually say the genocide is already in play, or there's steps.
When we get to the meaning of the word genocide, we'll understand, and especially when we look at the act.
Ons gaan nou vir julle die stappe wys wat in 'n volksmoord. Hulle noem dit nou volksmoord in Afrikaans en in Engels praat ons van 'n genocide. So, kom ons kyk gou nee, nog nie daai nie. Kom ons luister gou vir ou Whoopi klaar. Ons wil graag vir Whoopi net so 'n bietjie 'n tweede kans gee. Sy verduidelik die laaste stukkie.
Oh my God! So between ambushing Zelensky and this, why would world leaders continue to come to the White House?
Okay, well, first of all, this is the problem with getting all your information from Laura Loomer and Elon Musk.
You see, now it's the conspiracy theory.
So now
it's the conspiracy theory. Now it's the only news is allowed to come from them.
Labeling, etikettering, denial.
Yes.
What's the other one?
No, you've mentioned them all now. It's wait.
Labeling,
denial. It's wait.
Etikettering. What's in Afrika in Engels? Hulle etiketteer nou sekere ouens.
Ethnicizing. No, we'll get to them. We'll get to them. Sorry, they all.
We'll get to them. Okay, so
I can't find the meaning. I can't believe it.
Kom ons gaan gou terug na die een van die videoetjie wat ons gemaak het oor Jordan Peterson. Nou daar's nog 'n stukkie wat hy gesê het. Gaan net verby hierdie stukkie wat ons hier het waar hy net klaar gepraat het. En hierso net so daar praat hy op Nampo. Gaan nog 'n bietjie terug daar sê. Klik hom daarvan af. Daar praat hy op Nampo wat hy gesê het nou in die onderhoud. Kom ons luister hier.
Okay, but AfriForum has also done the following. You have gone and said that you're special victims of specific crimes, which is untrue. Farm murders affect black farm workers more than they do
even English-speaking people.
Absolutely.
The radicals who play the oppression Olympics game won't let the Jews play because they're successful, right? So you don't get to play. You don't get to be in the oppression Olympics, even if you have reason to be terrified out of your skulls. Say
because it's inconvenient to us.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's a counter. It goes against the narrative in a terrible way, the victimization narrative.
Exactly.
Right.
It's quite embarrassing to say that, if we look at the amount of murders per 100,000, I mean, the South African number is 45 per 100,000, and in the US it's 5.
Quite embarrassing.
Now listen to that.
Listen to that.
Just pause. The murder rate per 100,000
in South Africa
is 45.
Yeah.
The murder rate per 100,000 when it comes to farm murders is how many?
100 and...
No. When it comes to... How many farmers are there?
30,000 roughly.
Okay.
Commercial.
So when you look at how many farmers have died?
Over the last few years.
Yeah.
About between 2,500 and about 3,000.
Okay, so let's make it 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so 30,000 equated into 100,000. So you have to times the 30,000 by 3 to get to the 100,000. So the murder rate in South Africa is 45 out of every 100,000. The murder rate with the farmers is 6,000 for every 100,000.
No, they have done that calculation. They reckon it's 150 out of 100.
Just do the maths.
No, they did that.
But I'm saying, just do the maths. If you want to do...
What's it? 150 per out of 150 for the 30,000. For the 30,000.
Okay, how do you work that out? Because if you're working out that you've got a population of 65 million people, let's just do the maths.
They said the police is about 80 to 90 per 100,000. The farmers is die boere is 150 uit die 100,000. Dit het hulle gesê. Ek gryp nou vinnig na wat ek nou weer die laaste ruk gesien het.
Okay, I'm just doing maths.
Ja.
There's 67 million people, there's 27,000 deaths a year. So they work out the equation of deaths is 45 per every 100,000.
Ek het nou nie 'n sommetjie voor my nie, maar ons kan dit doen. Ons kan eintlik vir ons kykers vra dat julle vir ons net hier onder sommer in die kommentare sê en ons reg help as ons daar.
Because if you look at, if you've got 30,000 people and you want to equate a percentage out of 100,000, you've got to increase the 30,000 to 100,000, which means you've got to multiply it by 3. And if you've had 2,000 deaths, then you've got to multiply that by 3 as well to get to the 100,000 as a percentage of 100,000.
I mean, korrigeer net gou die hele ding. Goed, kom ons luister gou hier heeltemal klaar want hy sê tog goed.
The question is it a good argument or is it good facts? Now, Mr. Trump is not persuaded by facts, which is why you got to go to the default of making the argument.
You see, you got
so how did this argument come about?
So, die facts, die feit dat hy video speel op in die Withuis.
They're telling you not to believe your eyes.
Ja, dis nie facts.
Don't believe your eyes.
Goed, so eerstens
because they must be AI generated.
So eerste instansie is dit wat ons sien moet ons nie glo nie en dit wat ons hoor by die politici moet ons ook nie glo nie.
No. Because the politicians lie and what you see is a lie.
Ja, dit is so ons lewe eintlik in 'n leuen, in 'n lie. We live in a lie.
Definitely. And you must listen to him.
All right, let's listen to him.
The argument was fabricated. The argument was falsified.
Well, so it
is just the reality that we've got problems.
What you saw is a lie.
It's
what the politician told you is a lie, so it must be fabricated.
It must be fabricated.
Yeah. No, I agree. He's right. Hey.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, he's so right.
Sorry, Afriforum, julle is verkeerd.
I mean, totally. I mean, you know what? Those facts that you saw is a lie. The Malema shouting over there was an absolute lie.
It's a lie.
We've never seen that before. I mean, those 3 court cases.
Simulasie van Elon Musk.
You know what? Those 3 court cases never happened.
Yeah.
So it's a lie.
Kom ons gaan gou want hierna kom maar weer 'n stukkie in.
Peculiar to white South Africans, not peculiar to Afrikaners.
What has that got to do with it?
En hierdie sê nou baie belangrike ding. Luister wat sê hy oor. Plaasmoorde is die enigste kategorie wat deur die president van Suid-Afrika ontken is, want hierdie was voor die onderhoud of met Trump opgeneem, was die enigste kategorie wat ontken word.
It is just the reality that we've got problems, that we're all faced by those problems. It's not peculiar to white South Africans, it's not peculiar to Afrikaners.
Plaasmoorde is die enigste geweldsmisdaad in Suid-Afrika wat die president openlik ontken op 'n publieke platform, op 'n internasionale platform.
What he's failed, if we look at normal crime. Now, yes, we know that there's been violent crime against women when it comes to rape. There's been some heinous situations when it comes to rape. But when we've looked at how they happen, they've been random. There's been no organized action.
Exactly,
it's a one person, usually one person that commits the crime, and so it's a random act.
One can call it a societal problem.
There I agree with the societal problem. But the minute you get a group of people that arrange to go to an isolated farmhouse where there's a family or where there's an old couple, the minute you have a group of people that do that and they mutilate those people, they don't just steal, they mutilate.
To just add to you on that point is I've also asked a lot of people different questions, and when the murder happens of the crime, the other crimes that we're talking.
The general society
yes,
crime.
Somebody got killed.
Yes.
Where farm murders, no, you get strangled, you get
mutilated.
Yes.
I mean, ons het selfs daai kill the Boer, kill the farmer wat in bloed op die mure gesit is.
Op meer as 'n paar gevalle, hoor.
So just the fact that listen to the organization behind it. You got a group of people, and come, let's admit it. It's a single family. It's not as if you're going for a whole lot of wealth. There might be a bit of cash on site. There might be a gun here or there. There might even be a car. But we know they don't keep the cars. You end up finding the cars abandoned.
Exactly.
So what is the real motive? You see, why would you have a group of people deciding to go there? Because when you split the booty, it's very small.
Exactly.
I can understand why you get a group of people attacking an armored car. Because, I mean, these guys that carry the cash, because there you're going to get a good reward.
Yes.
But why would you have this group? Because sometimes we're talking about groups 7, 8, 9 strong.
We will definitely get the guys that are focused on that to talk to us
because
in the next few
to
weeks.
say that it isn't a focused crime.
Yeah.
You're not looking at the actual facts.
Correct. Maar as ons nou hier kyk, dan sien ons nou hier direk sê Cyril Ramaphosa hierna is hierdie antwoord van hom is van my wat my pla. Dis nie dat hy sê wat ons gaan nou gehoor het in die Withuis. Oh yes, we understand that the white farmers have been murdered, but there are also blacks, né? What did he say? Listen.
Wat die president openlik ontken op 'n publieke platform, op 'n internasionale platform.
There are no killings of farmers or white farmers in South Africa.
But that's
So
the
why
narrative.
did he not repeat this in the White House?
Oh, I guess it's very difficult when the facts are sitting in front of you, hey? It's very difficult.
I think he had it in his mind, but when the video played.
No, that you see, when the proof is in front of you, how do you deny the truth? And now what we're seeing, so which is the lie and which is the truth? The fact that he lied, and we've heard that politicians lie.
Mm-hmm.
So now if what he was telling the international community was a lie, so what he's telling his local people must be the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you agree?
Agree. Let's play. We almost
Back
finished.
to what we spoke about in the beginning. Yeah.
That's been spun, that this is a peculiar problem only pertaining to us, as if the rest of us are immune from this.
Well, I think I've
Dis
just
die enigste geweldsmisdaad wat aangehits word deur politici in hierdie land deur dreensangers soos Kill the Boer.
important word, incitement. Wait, this isn't true though. I mean, didn't he just say that this isn't true?
Yeah, because what you see, this is a factual video. This specific video we recorded at Kleinfontein. Kleinfontein, man, dat ek het my Afrikaans sê, wat sê ek om Kleinfontein. Hy het ons het hierdie eie video het ons op Kleinfontein self geneem. So, hallo, dis 'n feit.
No,
dis
no,
nie,
you didn't see this.
O,
This is a figment of your imagination. Didn't you know that?
Goed, speel op verder. Ek wil net stop gou hierso. Ek wil net sê terwyl ons daai goed opgeneem het by Kleinfontein, het ons daar het ek omgeloop en ek het so bietjie daar in die skare op die kant van die skare gestaan. En die antagonisme wat ek beleef het oor dat ek nou ook hierso tussen hulle met 'n kamera rondloop. Want ek het mos nou nie meer ek het nou nie gelyk soos die ander joernaliste wat wit was wat hulle het swart klere aangehad. En ek het nie soos swart klere aangehad nie. So wat hulle my geeldig gesê, "Amabulu, Amaboer," en dan bly hulle vir my sê en as hulle die liedjie sing, dan point hulle so na my toe. Ek is spyt ek het dit nie. Ek het nie uitgezoom nie, want toe zoom ek nou op hom. Ek is spyt ek het nie uitgezoom dat ek dit kon afneem nie. Die een het sommer so 'n videoetjie gemaak. Dan maak hy so 'n selfie videoetjie wat hy hom gooi. So dis soos Jordan Peterson sê, ek dink hy sê dit hierna. Wat sê hierdie ouens en die gang wat hierso is nie noodwendig die ouens wat dit gaan uitvoer nie. Luister gou verder.
But Ibrahim, do you think it's you make that point now? But if our president makes that point, I mean, it's still quite embarrassing.
Of course it's embarrassing, but we're all embarrassed as South Africans.
Ons weet ons is embarrassed as South
As if we're singled out. by the kind of problems which happen in the society. It's a generalized problem.
Dit is 'n dreunsang wat Afriforum 'n brief van die president geskryf het toe dit weer op Menseregtedag hierdie jaar gebeur het en vir die president gevra het: "Veroordeel asseblief hierdie dreunsang, dis die minste wat jy kan doen." En sy reaksie deur sy woordvoerder was: "Nee, die president gaan nie dit doen."
No, you know what's even worse about this? It's not really the fact that the president.
Rinus, kyk gou vir ons die ander video, so lank, soek hom so lank, waar Donald Trump toe net na Steenhuisen het J.D. Vance vir hom gevra, so wat doen julle as hierdie goed gebeur?
Ja.
En hy sê ons condemn dit, maar dis nie wat Afriforum hierso sê nie.
You see, the problem we have, and it's the scary part of what we've just witnessed here. Here you have an individual that said, all we want is for the president to condemn it. It's all we want.
Yeah.
The scary part is, this went through the legal system in South Africa.
So wat sê dit vir ons van die legal system?
And what did the legal systems, what was the conclusion of the legal system? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't look here, there's nothing wrong with it.
Maar nou is daar nou is daar regsouens wat sê ja, maar Afriforum het nie die regte die saak nie reg aangebied nie.
It's irrelevant. How the evidence, I mean the speech itself, kill the farmer, kill the Boer. Now if I said kill the black man, kill him now.
Jy moet besop, jy moet besop, Ronaldo Gous het sy pos in die DA verloor as gevolg van wat jy nou net gesê het.
I'm using it as an example.
Hy ook.
What would you think I am saying if I said that right now?
You mean what you say, you know?
No, what have I said? What have I just said? Please interpret for me what I've just said. I've said, kill the black man, kill him now. What does that mean? I'm saying kill the black man, kill him now.
Are you a politician?
I am.
Okay, so we don't have to believe what you say.
Oh, because I lie. Yeah. But you see, this is the problem. You cannot believe what you see. You cannot believe what you hear.
From them.
And you cannot believe what they say. Doesn't that sound like hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil?
Well, it is actually hear evil, see evil, and talk evil.
No, but you don't see it. Yeah. You're not supposed to see it. Even although it's happening, you're not supposed to see it. You see, this is the problem. This is genocide.
Okay, so you're saying we're talking genocide. I just want to finish this one, then we'd go into the genocide.
Okay.
So I just want to say,
it's.
I hear what you say, and ons gaan nou gou oor die genocide en die volksmoord praat. Speel gou hierdie stuk op.
A document which said South
gaan 'n bietjie terug, gaan net 'n bietjie terug. Nog so 'n bietjie terug.
Kill the white farmers, kill. Yeah. Why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the
now
white
there's
farmers.
Logic.
Kill
there's
the
logic.
Farmers, and then he danced.
Why don't you arrest him? Oh, but we did arrest him.
Kom ons stop gou.
We did arrest him, and what did the courts decide?
Kom ons stop gou hierdie.
Nothing wrong here.
En nou wil ek ook iets so inbring. Ons weet daar soos 4 aktiviste, Willem Petzer, François van der Merwe, Devin Hofmeyer en TV Wessels. Korrek. Hulle in 'n optog het hulle net bietjie sterk opgetree. Hulle al 4 is vir meer as 'n week. Ek dink is meer as 'n week is hulle in hegtenis gearresteer.
Ja.
Hulle gearresteer.
Ja.
Hierdie ou word nie eens gearresteer en dan 'n hofsaak vind plaas nie. Hy word nie eens gearresteer nie. Goed. Dis
net dit het Afriforum gevat om 'n saak teen hom te bring.
Correct.
Dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying kill a certain group of people, he would be.
You see, he used the same example.
He would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium
You
that
see,
holds
he
100,000
just used the same
people.
example I did. I told you. What did I just say? What does it mean?
And it's not a small party.
I mean
10%.
10% of the total population, like he said, they fill stadiums. And the guy's originally from the ANC.
And the other thing that I want to say is, if those few, let's say 100 or 200 farmers and people that did the protest in for instance in Groblersdal, if they waved a flag and they used any kind of flag, then Monday the media is on top of them and they are showing racist flags. Nee, dan is die vlag verkeerd. Okay, die meeste optogte word die unievlag, die oranje, blanja, blou, word nie meer gedoen nie, want ons wil nie hê die mense moet in die moeilikheid kom nie. Maar jy mag nie daai vlaggie oplig nie. Dan gaan jy hulle seermaak en jy word toegesluit. Jy mag nie sekere woorde gebruik wat met 'n K begin nie, want dan word jy toegesluit.
But they can say kill.
Hy kan
kill.
Hy kan hy woord gebruik.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
En ons mag ook nie sê kill the black man nie, want dan is jy ook in die moeilikheid. Maar
No,
hy
but,
mag dit sê.
You see, I wouldn't say it.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's stupid. Who wants to... I mean, you don't talk like that about your fellow man.
Yeah.
Yet, here you have... And what did Cyril say to Malema when he did it? Oh, nothing. Did you ever hear Cyril condemn Malema for saying it? He's been asked to condemn it. We heard now. He's been told, just condemn it.
Kan ek dit gou vir ons kameraman vra of ons tegniese ouens net vra dat hulle net die stukkie van Jordan Peterson opbring waar hy sê dit gaan nie oor dat jy wat jy van die verhoog af sê dat daai groepie wat op die verhoog is en by die optog is dat hulle dit gaan pleeg nie. Dit gaan daaroor dat jy skep 'n gees.
The spirit gets created.
The spirit gets created en jy wag vir die katalis.
Yeah.
So iets moet hom trigger. Something needs to trigger it. En dis waarna toe ek wil beweeg. Goed, kom ons kyk of
people more or less do what they say they're going to do, and so when they're chanting "kill the Boer" or singing about it, that's even if none of the individuals in that chanting mob would take the next step, the spirit that infuses the mob, the
climate,
it's already there.
Yeah, it's already there. Dankie.
I mean, all it took out of that 100,000 was maybe 7 of those to go to the next farm.
Exactly.
And kill the Boer, or 5 of them go out and start setting alight those farms to try and eradicate the farm. I mean, we've seen the increase in fires, which are fires that have been started by individuals. We've seen an increase in that happening in the country.
Pieter Goosen Retief Goosen was saying that in this interview, he said they hulle het vure begin op ons plase om ons af te kry van die plase af.
I even forgot that. But yes, we've seen the increase. And where does that come from? Where does the instigation come from? Where does this start? I mean, just remember, who else used to sing the shoot the farmer, shoot the Boer? Who else used to sing it when he was president of the ANC?
Mr. Zuma.
Mr. Zuma.
He was ANC. Dis 'n baie belangrike punt wat jy maak.
He was president of the ANC. They said, oh, he's just a fringe party.
Correct.
He was president of the ANC
when
he was
videoetjie wat
singing
gespeel het, nee,
yes.
Het hy sy geel ANC MP aangegaan.
Exactly. He was president of the ANC when
so
that
jammer
was
ANC, julle daai ene gemis. En al hierdie ander linkse media, julle moet bietjie daaroor ook rapporteer. Kom ons kom terug, voor ons dit is, ek wil net gou vinnig hierso wys hierso. 'n prentjie of 2. Kom ons kyk dit gou. So dit was regtig waar vir ons wat vanaf hierdie kant af kyk met 'n ander bril, want ons sien dis regtig waar daar's verskillende brille waar die mense na hierdie situasie kyk, hierdie saak kyk. Nou ja, dit was vir ons eintlik so 'n situasie. Ek sien hierso van die Vryheid Media. Vryheid Media het dit vir ons gewys. Die volgende ene hierdie kant toe is maar net waar. It's okay, Johnny. Betrayal is just politics with a smile. Welcome to the family. Okay? En dan die volgende ene is get under there. So eintlik wat hierdie prentjie,
you know, this is an interesting one though.
Ja.
ANC.
Yeah, he was ANC.
Zuma, because they mentioned him, MK as well. Ooh, wait, ANC. Guess what? ANC. They're all children of the same family.
Exactly. He even invited Julius back to the ANC.
Exactly.
So,
and Julius said he was always acting on behalf of the ANC in any case. So it's all children of the same family.
Absolutely. And then, so let's get to this one.
Okay.
If you can take us. So wat ons nou gaan doen is ons gaan net vir julle vinnig gou wys na die stappe wat 'n genocide, 'n volksmoord.
Let's first see.
Yeah.
If you go up a bit, if you go to Article 8. Okay. Oop, wait. There, Article 8. Empowers any state party to call upon the United Nations to intervene when genocide is underway or anticipated. So let's understand, this article was written not to go and count the bodies afterwards and to prosecute afterwards. It was written to stop genocide.
And prevent.
To prevent, because it's anticipated. So let's go up to the definition. No, wait, there we go. Here's the definition. Okay, now the definition says, if any of the following acts committed, any, not all of them, any of the following acts committed with the intent, it's only intent, it doesn't mean it has happened, there's an intention.
Can you highlight that one for us on that side? Yeah, intent, yeah, just do that.
You see,
just that.
Intent means
give it a color.
Something,
yeah.
We want to achieve a certain objective.
Yeah.
To destroy in whole or
in part.
In part. So it's not a whole, a national, ethnic, racial, okay? In part, ethnic, racial, only part of, not the whole. Doesn't have to be the whole. So to say we need to see all the whites being genocide is a lie. It's not what the Act says. Or that's not what the article says. That's not what the convention says. What's the first one? Killing members of the group. Fine. Intent to kill members of the group. Causing serious bodily or... Sorry.
let him do the
or
highlighting.
mental harm.
Yeah, let him do the highlighting.
Or mental harm to members of the group. Yeah. Deliberately inflicting group conditions of life. Group conditions of life.
Highlight group conditions.
Conditions of life. Group conditions of life. To bring about physical destruction in whole or in part. Imposing measures. Okay, we can forget the last two, transferring. Now, if we look at those criteria, there has to be an intent, so it doesn't have to be happening. It's just an intent, because if it's about prevention, as was shown in Clause 8, there's just got to be an intent. So when a person says, kill the farmer, kill the Boer, or kill the Boer, kill the farmer. What's the intent?
Yeah, why would you say there's an intent there?
There's no intent there.
Yeah.
No, because you can't believe him.
No, okay. No. I'm actually serious now.
I know.
But the reason why I'm saying is the killing.
That is intent.
The killing of the farmer, or the movement of kill the Boer, kill the farm movement by the ANC and even the MK. What is the end purpose, or the end purpose? Why? What are the end goal?
Well, let's go and look when the song was created.
Okay, that's number one. But what I'm sorry, the thoughts that I want to go through.
Your intent is your words are your intent. But the same with a criminal act.
But
when you go and fetch the gun,
I'm with you,
to shoot the person, what is your intention?
My intention to shoot him, but
if you
just something behind that.
Well, you see, this is. I'm going to use criminal law as an example of what intent means.
Okay, but before you go with intent, I just want to pause, because my brain spin nie so. So wat ek eintlik probeer sê is, die kill the boer word gedoen as 'n movement slogan sodat hulle kan kom by 'n eindresult van revolution and
to
get land. To get land.
To do what? No, not just to get land.
Ja,
to do what?
Hulle einddoel is get land.
But to do, how are you going to get the land?
Kill the white people.
There we go.
Yeah.
How have they done it throughout Africa?
Same way.
Okay. So we know that intent, let's take criminal law for instance. If I'm involved in a situation where a matter arises and I get into a fight and I end up killing someone, there wasn't an intent to commit murder. You know what I mean? It was self-defense or whatever. You can use any of those things. But if I go home and I fetch a gun and I walk to a person and I shoot him, by getting the gun, I've shown intent. Now, when I chant, kill the Boer, kill the farmer to 100,000 people at a stadium, am I not loading the gun?
You are.
Am I not loading the gun? Is there not an intent for at least some of those to go out? Because my words...
But that's just a metaphor.
I think that's where you've got to go back to Peterson. They mean what they say.
Thank you.
Hitler meant what he said.
Can we listen to the solidarity, Dirk and Jaco Kleinhans, of what they said about genocide, volksmoord?
Die goed wat ons versprei in Amerika oor plaasmoorde is nie openbaar beskikbaar. Ons het duidelik gesê wat ons standpunt is. Hier wys ons dat 50% van boere wat vermoor word eers gemartel. Ja. En ons wys hierso in hierdie stuk 16% mense wat skuldig is word skuldig bevind, net 16%. 16%. Maar die punt is so ons kon dit hier gewys het. En ek onthou toe sê die Amerikaner, nou vertel ons hulle oor plaasmoord. Ons sê dit is nie, maar ons gebruik nie die woord volksmoord nie. Ons het dit nogal so gesê. Sê vertel 'n bietjie wat alles daar gebeur. Ons wys dit, ons sê. En hy kyk ons en hy sê, maar dis volksmoord. Ja. Dis strei nou.
But he's right.
Maar dis volksmoord.
They're right.
Dat jy maar dink nie. Binne ons konteks, ons raak eintlik gewoond hieraan.
Yes.
Nee, dit gebeur en alles.
It's the frog.
Maar
it's the frog in the pot.
Konteks is hierdie soort van moorde volksmoord. En toe het hulle ons bewys, as ons onthou dat volksmoord is as 'n spesifieke deel van 'n etniese.
There we go. Exactly what we've been saying. And you see, it's 100%, it's a correct interpretation of what genocide is about. Now let's go and look at the Genocide Watch.
Genocide Watch, en dis presies wat hy gesê het, ons is so gewoond geraak om te sê,
ons is die para
Correct.
In die warm water.
Hulle kry dit reg om ons dood te maak oor 'n lang periode. En iemand het dit gister gesê, ek dink dit was jy gewees, maar ek praat nou 'n korreksie, het vir my gister gesê, is as jy hierdie van 1990 tot 2025 vat en jy speel die hele video van plaasmoorde in 1 uur of in 1 dag voor jou verby en jy sien hoe 2500, 3000 boere in 1 dag vermoor word, dan is dit 'n ander prentjie, dan begin jy agterkom, wow, dit is 'n volksmoord.
Yes. Okay, now let's go to Genocide Watch. Go up. Look, when we look at Genocide Watch, there's 10 steps. But if you go a bit further, I'd like to just talk about, what we've done. Let's ignore this. Let's keep going. Yeah, different stages. Now, there's 10 stages when it comes to genocide, okay, that Genocide Watch looks at. Now, we've explained the rhetoric of kill the farmer, kill the Boer, and we've explained the laws that have been created in terms of economic genocide, the 140 laws that use quota systems and everything to push a certain group out of the economy. We've now looked at what is expected through the Expropriation Act, you know, where they claim expropriation without compensation, and to say that their intention is not to take away land. They've been trying very hard to get this passed. I mean, remember when they first went and tried to change the constitution to get the compensation clause taken out? Because that clause hurts them. Remember, we discussed this. That's the only clause that stops them from going ahead.
And I mean, it's how many years now that they're busy with this?
Exactly. This is many years, 5, I mean, and they've been talking about it for a long time. But now let's look at it. Classification. Now, where they classify a certain group and they make them others. Now, here I'm going to...
Us and them.
Yeah, us and them. So now, yeah, white monopoly capital. Although I don't know why Rupert was standing over there, because, yes, that is one of the classifications that separate. Boer, colonizer.
Settlers.
Thieves.
Yeah, land thieves.
Land thieves. Pink pig. I mean, I haven't heard that one yet, but umlungu.
Yeah.
Umlungu's one of them as well. So when you look at that rhetoric, that makes you a other. Okay. Yeah. Let's go to symbolization. Use of racial epithets and revolutionary symbols in a post-apartheid text.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're doing that. Without a doubt.
And the word apartheid is being used so out of context.
I mean, everything is apartheid's fault.
And the race card.
Everything's apartheid fault. If something breaks that they built, it's because of apartheid. You know what I mean? So that becomes the scapegoat.
Symbolized.
Discrimination. Well, we just spoke about it. 140 laws enforcing race-based exclusion in jobs, land, and business. Access to money. All these things you're beginning to be discriminated against. Your language is being discriminated against because no longer are you allowed to get instruction in universities in Afrikaans. Yes. The Bellable, which is talking about them taking over the function of the parent body, taking over that function, the governing bodies, where they can now decide on the language policy and everything. The fact that only English is allowed in the court systems now. Now, and you know, in a way, it's that those sort of rules are beginning to affect everyone actually, but specifically when it comes to the Afrikaners as well, because it was Afrikaans that was taken away. Yes. From the universities. It was there.
And we saw how Lesotho made it his
mission to get rid of Afrikaans. You see, so, and that's government. That's government. And that, I mean, you know what I mean. Okay.
No, I don't.
Dehumanization. Kill the Boer. Colonist. White monopoly capital, along with excessive violent farm killings. Moral exclusion.
I also heard that
dehumanization.
Under this one, you can even add the fact that they're destroying the monuments of us, or that's cultural, whatever.
But that's part of dehumanization. Getting rid history. Of your history is part of dehumanization.
And your monuments, destroying monuments.
It's all part of dehumanization.
Graveyards.
Yes, all part of dehumanization. Politicized groups endorsing and fail to prosecute race-based crimes.
Absolutely.
Well, Julius Malema.
Kill the Boer, kill the farmer.
There we go again. I mean, that's number 5 already.
And also, if you say this in terms of organization, is if you look at the courts, Dirk just now said only 16% gets prosecuted into court. So where are the others?
And the fact that Malema was allowed to continue, that the statement that he made was allowed to continue. Come on, let's be honest. And anyway, polarization. Well,
that media
apartheid.
Yes.
Apartheid.
Absolutely. Exactly.
That's polarization. Them and us. And it's It's a rhetoric that drips and drips and drips the whole time.
Absolutely. And you know what? It actually, what you say, it dehumanize this group because you can't say anything. Because if you start to say anything,
you're racist.
Exactly.
No, then you're
let's
racist.
Say
you can't defend.
Let's say you stand up for the fact that somebody is doing something wrong
you're
in your
racist.
Community or in your in a specific job. You're a racist.
Yes. Okay. Preparation. Now this is an interesting one.
Preparation. Yeah. I've heard something also that somebody mentioned in one of their analysis and say that this one could be a preparation for if the ANC falls, then Mr. Zuma can walk in, or Julius Malema can walk in and say, the law is there, let's use it full time.
But I mean, I read an article where they just said now, Johannesburg is now going to take those buildings that have been abandoned. They're going to take them without compensation, and they're going to redevelop them for the public good into student housing and low-cost housing and all those aspects. Now, those are buildings that belong to people, many of them. And I know with many of those buildings, they actually went to court to try and get those buildings back. But nothing was done to actually enforce the rules that enforce the court orders. Nothing was done. So those buildings just remained in the hands of criminals. Now, a similar thing happened in a farm in Pretoria West, where the farm was invaded. Now, council went to the court and got a court order to have them all removed. In actual fact, this happened probably about 12 years ago. The invasion happened. They've got no services or anything. They're now insisting on services. But they invaded this farm. The farmer is still on the farm. But you've got a town that is established on his farm, not with shacks, with double-story houses and everything. Not with shacks. So it's not poor people.
But Kleinfontein, you know...
No, you're not allowed. Now, there is a court order in place that said that this was supposed to be removed. They were supposed to be removed. Guess what?
You can't
Nothing.
do it now.
What do you think? Expropriation without compensation. What do you think is going to happen?
It's now going to...
Wait, there's a part in expropriation without compensation where it says if you lose reasonable control of your property, they can expropriate it without compensation. If you lose reasonable control. So what do you think is going to happen? Land invasion, mass land invasion onto your property. Have you lost reasonable control of your property?
But there's also another component in public interest.
No, well, that's going to be in public interest because the houses are already there.
Exactly.
You see, but what does EFF do? They invade properties and everyone builds their shack. So what do you think that portion of the law was put in place for? Exactly. Believe what they say.
Yeah.
Wait, what did Peterson say? Believe what they say.
Yeah. In the very beginning, let's play that one in the very beginning.
What did he say?
People do what they say they'll do. That's my view. You want to know what Hitler was going to do? Read Mein Kampf.
Yep.
So why would you create a law that allows for expropriation without compensation?
Because you want to do what you say.
And especially as part of that law, you write, if you lose reasonable control of your property. So if you go to the courts and the police won't enforce the court order, even if you have that court order but you've lost reasonable control of your property because you can't get it back because the police won't support you, what's going to happen? For Sanya wat ek sê. if you just look at it logically.
Richard, die tyd haal ons in so bietjie. Kom ons sluit af met die laaste ene wat jy
Prosecution, economic, cultural, social exclusion of white communities is well documented.
I think this cultural to me is...
No, well, we spoke about it, the
Afrikaans.
Afrikaans, the Afrikaans.
White communities.
Economic, BEE laws, your equity laws. I mean, right now, if you take even with Elon Musk.
If he wants to come in.
Elon Musk wanted to come and give us Starlink. What did he have to do? Give us 30%. I mean, that is an obvious one.
Let's play that clip.
Wait, there's still another.
Leave it there. Let's just play the clip of
Elon Herzog. Yeah.
Herzog. Let's play that clip. This one is actually...
Because what they've done over the last 14 years is institute racism, anti-white, anti-colored, anti-Indian racism, socialism, and their government has been kleptocratic and ineptocratic. So, on one hand, stealing, on the other hand, completely incompetent. They have deindustrialized our country.
Yes.
And we are growing at 1% economic growth, and our population growth is 2%. What does that mean? We get poorer every year. The country is falling apart because of the ANC.
Yeah, I'm looking at some data here saying South Africa's GDP has stagnated, averaging 0.8% annually from 2012 to 2022. Again, 2008, 2009, Jacob Zuma gets in, compared to 4.8% the previous decade, 94 to 04. Unemployment reached 33.5% in 2024, with youth unemployment at 61%.
Highest in the world. Highest in the world.
How?
By complete incompetence and malevolence, evil. They're pushing anti-white racism and socialism by the day.
This is the economic, what we saw in those steps of genocide. That's your economic deprivation. You're taking the whites out. Why do we have 800,000 whites that have left the country to go and live elsewhere?
I've heard even it's now more than 1 million. Just over
a
million.
You know what?
Yeah, but it's million.
The numbers are a lot. I mean, it's close to, it's 20% of our population.
You see.
It's 20% of our population, if you think about it.
Of the white population.
Of the white population. So you take that 20%. I mean, where in the world, unless there is a war, unless there is a genocide taking place, unless there is...
So what you say, the kill the Boer phrase or slogan is basically exactly the same as what Ramaphosa said. We'll boil them like frogs, slowly.
That's it.
They will jump out on their own.
So what is happening? You're getting this flight because of economic reasons, because you're demonized the whole time, because of fear of death, because of crime rates and all these sort of things. So you're leaving.
Yeah.
Is that not a form of genocide?
Exactly.
Because when you're no longer in the country of your birth, and you no longer feel welcome in the country of your birth, and you have to go and live somewhere else, that's genocide, because your situation's changed to such a point that you cannot even live within your own country anymore.
And the funny thing is that they use crime as the main excuse.
No, well, who created the crime?
Exactly.
Go and look at the crime rate when under apartheid. I mean, it wasn't even close to where it is now. So they're using crime to meet their objective.
To transform.
And they don't stop the crime.
Exactly.
They don't stop it.
There's no will.
There's no will to stop it.
We see it from the police. Only if we look at farm murders as one category, we see there's no will. There's no will.
No, man, they don't equip them. If you think about it, how many times have you heard when you go to a police station where they say, we only have one van, so we can't come and help you right at the moment?
Richard, there's organizations and institutions that I know who got money where they want to put up cameras, farm units or farm security units, wat in plaasveiligheidseenhede. You know, they wanted to put up those ones. The problem with that is they would become better than the police, and then they would become a threat to the police. So no, you can't have it because you're going to become a threat to the police. So no.
But what did they just do? They now want to take away private security's guns.
Exactly.
Why would you want to do that?
Why?
You have a crime problem. So why would you want to take away private security's guns? You see the agenda.
I didn't think about that one. Private security, what's Sira?
Yes.
We had an interview with the Protea Coin guys. And he said, my friend, we're not gonna do security if we cannot defend ourselves, because the criminals don't come with whistles and cuffs. Hulle kom nie met vletjies en boeie nie. Hulle kom met gewere.
But you see, now why would a government that cannot meet its objective of protecting its society want to get rid of society's ability to protect itself? Why? Is that an agenda?
We know it is.
Or, you know, they claim it's incompetence. I think that
or Richard, I'll have to rephrase that then. I think you're busy with a conspiracy theory.
Oh, I must be.
Yeah.
No, I must be. Just like education, where they got rid of education and all these
I'd say nog ietsie, so ek wil net gou graag, kom ons speel hom
I'll give you the worst of it. We have a policy called Black Economic Empowerment, BEE. The reason Starlink isn't in South Africa yet is because the South African government said to Elon Musk, if you want to bring Starlink to South Africa, you've got to give 30% of your business to a black person, and we'll tell you who.
That is...
that
is economic marginalization. It's actually gone up now. You know that. The latest employment equity rules, it's now 50%.
So okay, listen, let's go back to Mr. Zuma's interview, the long interview. And then there at the very end, he was saying to Mr. Zuma,
Mr.
Ramaphosa, sorry, Jammer. Ramaphosa. At the very end, he's saying, we're sitting in the situation because of the crime, and we need your technology, and we need your drones, and walla walla. Okay, even Rupert said that, but he said that as well. We need trade. We need your investment in South Africa. En dan, as jy hierdie onderhoud van Rob Hirsel verder luister, dan sê jy, hoor, hulle sê vir mekaar, maar ons verstaan nou nie mooi nie. Die persoon, Patrick B. David, vra vir Rob Hirsel, so as ek nou wil kom invest daar, dan sê hy 30%. Weet moet jy gee.
My business that I started.
Ja, in Suid-Afrika. So,
but that's...
I sê, as 'n investor sal ek mos nie wil kom nie.
What does the law say? What does the law say?
Yeah?
Just listen to what the law says. The law says, if you've got less than 50 people employed, you don't form part of the requirement. But the minute you employ more than 50 people, then you have to comply. So the minute you're successful,
exactly,
and the minute you've reached a point, then we want your money. That's basically what they're saying. We want your intellectual property, we want your business, we want all these things, we want your money because you're now successful. They don't want to be involved in the establishment of the business. They don't want to be involved in the hard work part of establishing the business, the risk part of establishing the business. You see how they don't want to be involved in that part. They only want to get involved in the business when it's established itself and it's making money.
We want the
then
money.
They want the 50%. They're a bunch of thieves.
And then that's stealing, because wat doen hulle nou ook met daai geld? Hulle gebruik ook nie daai geld om regtig waar swart mense op te hef nie. Hulle steel dit vir hulle self.
Vir hulle self. Hulle word biljoenêers.
Hulle word biljoenêers en beter. Luister gou na hierdie stukkie waar hy sê, ek soek graag net geld in investments.
In investments. We've got to grow our economy. Of support is really an investment. We've got to grow our economy.
Can I say something about this? Can I please? I want to tell you a little story here. Okay. You know that in the early 1900s, there was a guy by the name of Van der Bilt.
Van der Bijl or Van der Bilt?
Van der Bijl, sorry, Van der Bijl. He was studying in Germany. And he was an engineer, brilliant man. And he was on his way to America. And the president at that stage, I think it was Smuts, went to him and said, Boykie, you're a South African. Come, here's the checkbook. Create our economy. And what did he create? He created ISCOR, Transnet, and Eskom. The backbone
of an economy,
of our economy that became one of that became the strongest economy in Africa by far. Here this man is begging for business, but that backbone that he was given, he's absolutely destroyed. In 1993, Eskom was given the award as the best electrical grid in the world. The best. Mbeki was told, maintain, build a new plant every year, and it'll remain.
It'll be perfect, yeah.
What did he do? Nothing. In actual fact, he fired every single one of those people that had been building those stations. All that institutional knowledge, he got rid of it.
But how? Okay.
Because there was a plan. If you want to institute communism, and it's a known thing, you've got to destroy that which is there, make the people dependent, and then you've got to subjugate the people under your control. Now, they're busy killing the farmers. Where have we seen that before?
Yeah, I think let's go back. We can go back to your document now, because we know now. Here he's begging for investments, but
he destroyed it.
But the BEE laws is also not going to do that.
He destroyed it.
Yes.
Through his BEE laws.
I think this one, Richard, is the most important one, because everybody thinks that extermination is what a genocide is.
Well, you see, this is the problem, is that once you've gotten to that stage, yes, then it's genocide. Then it's out and out, the bodies are lying on the floor. But now go back to Article 8.
It's too late. It's too late.
What does Article 8 say? Go up a bit.
Article 8.
There it is. V11.
This one?
No.
Oh, this one.
That one.
Yeah.
Empowers any state party to call upon the United Nations to intervene when genocide is underway or anticipated. Now, genocide underway is point 9.
Let's go down to point 9. Extermination. Not yet evident, however, escalating rural murders indicate a dangerous trajectory.
You see, not yet evident, about to happen. So, is there an intent? Kill the farmer, kill the Boer. Intent.
Absolutely.
It's just not yet happening on a scale for this thing on everybody, but certain portion.
Farmers. Yeah.
A portion. A portion. Now, if you go to the meaning, if you go to that definition again, what does it say? A whole group or a portion. So it is actually happening. Wait, it is actually happening.
Number 10 is the denial. We see it.
We showed it.
What farm murders?
There are no farm murders happening.
Yes, a conspiracy theory.
No, they're not happening.
Yeah, but I mean all the media using
everything
ways.
And this is how they do it, eh? It's a conspiracy theory. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Let's go to the summary, the last part. I think let's finish off with this part of this document, the conclusion. Which one is it? Is it the last one or is it? Yeah, this one. Okay, yeah. Let's start there. Conclusion. The current, you can read it.
The current trajectory of the policy, public rhetoric, and societal conditions in South Africa bears a striking resemblance to two core provisions of the UN Genocide Convention, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group and deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction in whole or in part. These provisions, while historically interpreted in context of overt, these provisions, while historically interpreted in context of overt mass violence, also encompass systemic and cumulative forms of harm that render life unsustainable for a targeted group. That's exactly what we've been talking about. In the case of white South Africans, particularly the Afrikaner farming community, and now even starting to include other minority groups, shows a pattern has emerged that combines physical danger, psychological trauma, economic marginalization, and cultural erasure, all part of the genocide process. Farm attacks, along with other violent crimes, often characterize extreme brutality such as torture, mutilation, and sexual assault, are not merely criminal in nature, but appear ideologically driven, especially when slogans like kill the Boer are found at crime scenes. I mean, when you hear the rhetoric of the politicians, when you start finding them at crime scenes, there's your link. You can't get away from it. There's your link. When they started putting swastika signs on the doorways of the Jews, there's your link. You understand what I'm saying? This contributes to a persistent state of mental duress. We know that. We can see it in our population, within the affected communities. We can see it. I mean, you were talking about how a farmer has to secure himself, and he's got to have the gun on him, and he's got to watch everything before he goes in, and there's a process that he has to follow.
Radios and communication.
I mean, that all feeds on you the whole time.
Alarms.
That all feeds on you the whole time. 10-foot walls around, building your own prison to remain safe. You know what I mean? The state's consistent refusal to classify such acts as hate crimes or targeted violence, and in the case of farmers, it's a failure to implement proportional rural safety mechanisms, deepens the perception of complicity and neglect. The state doesn't care. White farmers are not being murdered. The state doesn't care. At the same time, the over 140 pieces of legislation, including employment equity, procurement restrictions, impose structural barriers that prevent white South Africans, especially working class and rural populations, from accessing opportunities for survival, prosperity, or intergenerational stability. What is going to happen to our children? We all worry about that. Is there a future for our children? That's a major driver for a lot of people that have left this country, that intergenerational stability. The removal of Afrikaans from educational and legal institutions, combined with the political framing of Afrikaners as colonizers or white monopoly capital, contributes to an atmosphere of alienation and cultural attrition. These forces, taken together, not only inflict profound psychological harm, but also amount to the deliberate imposition of conditions that jeopardize the group's ability to physically sustain itself within the country. Viewed through the lens of international law and precedents, such accumulative harm meets critical thresholds for genocidal risk, particularly when identity-based targeting, structural exclusion, and state inaction intersect. Genocide.
En ons het net 'n klein vlammetjie nodig om hom te finaliseer, die laaste stap of twee te kan gebeur.
No, you see, that's when it becomes mass.
Yeah,
I think it's already there in terms of the farmers.
Exactly.
It's a portion of the population that they've already targeted. Why do we say they've already targeted? Because if you look at communism, how did Stalin implement it? He focused on the farmers, the kulaks. So you see, it's the same process.
The gulags, yeah, gulags.
Yeah, the gulags.
Yeah.
It's the same process. So when you look at the ideology of the institution, you look at the process that's being followed, you look at the rhetoric around it, you can only come to one conclusion.
I want to finish off, if you can find us the video, kan vir ons die video van die Karl Marx ene wat ons gemaak het. Hy's nie gepubliseer nie. Hy lê in ons
argiewe.
Nee, in ons inhoud, in ons video's. En as jy hom net vir ons daar kan kry asseblief, dan wil ek hom graag speel. Ja, soos ek sê, jy moet na die studio toe gaan om hom te kry. YouTube studio toe gaan om hom te kry. Soos die gesprekke is dan nou wild aan die gang, né? Oral's reg hoor. Is dan die gang. Dan soek jy vir ons, dis die EFF se Karl Marx. So ek het hier so in dit gaan oor, ja. Dit is 'n dis dit ene daai daar sê hy sê. As jy hom net kan speel vir ons die ene boontoe, daai 3 minute. Weet wat kommunisme is. Speel vir ons hierdie ene asseblief. Ek dink net gou, dan sluit ons met hom af.
Okay.
Being non-racist, that's why you saw Karl Marx, Karl Niehaus, Karl Marx.
Hy wil seker baie graag Karl Marx wees.
He stood here in this platform, he spoke, he was smiling, there is nothing wrong because we have no problem with white people.
Gevier.
But as the EFF,
no, we know
all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Want dis wat hy gesê het, nou daai knap, daai man wat daar praat.
Happen to love black people.
Voel jy?
So if white people are feeling aggrieved or intimidated by our love for black people, that's their problem, not ours. The EFF is a non-racist organization. We don't say we are non-racial because Fanon answers the question of race. The people that we advance a discourse of are black people. But it does not mean that we hate white people. We have no business in hating white people. What we want is for white people to understand that we are equal to them and they are equal to us.
That's all we want.
No one is better or greater than the other. No one is more important than the other.
Happy birthday,
so the white tendency of supremacy must come to an end, and only the EFF can confront it.
Only the EFF can confront it.
I just want to pause there for a second. Pause there. We'll listen to those statements. You see, all we want is for white people to stop feeling superior. Now, do you feel superior at the moment? I don't feel superior. In actual fact, everything that I'm being told is I'm not superior. In actual fact, I'm told I need to leave because I'm not superior. I don't belong here. Now, when you listen to those statements, the problem with those statements is you can never find a reality in them. Because what did the Afrikaner do in 1994? He handed over full control. Now, that's not what a superiorist does. A superiorist doesn't go, you know what, I was wrong. Here you go. But if you look at everything that they are doing now, they will never admit their mistakes. That's a superiority complex. Because it's only a superiority complex that will never admit his mistakes. That's a superiority complex. They will demonize everyone around them. That's a superiority complex. So everything that they're saying is what they're doing. But they're placing it on someone else.
But that's communism, abolition of private property.
That's communism. There you go. You have to make the people dependent on the state.
Exactly.
There you go.
And he said most only the EFF can do that.
Well, you see, who is the EFF? The little child of the ANC.
But we're going to play Jordan Peterson in just now. Okay, let's listen to. I don't really want this to hear, but listen to Karl Niehaus, which want to be Karl Marx. He's the EFF's Karl Marx.
Can confront it.
They say, ons God. You cannot claim God as your own, especially when you are.
The first requisite for the happiness of the people is the abolition of religion. Karl Marx.
The belief in God. That was he wanted to get rid of the belief in God.
The utopia, what did he say about the utopia?
In order to establish a utopia on earth,
yes,
you have to get rid of the belief in God.
Good.
Racist.
That's why
Marx was also, by all accounts, a person who was filthy in every way, essentially, that you could be filthy. Like literally, because his personal hygiene habits were detestable, to say the least.
I would circle this back to the point of disorder.
Right, exactly.
So it is a totally disordered personal lifestyle. His father noticed it when Marx was in college. And then when Marx got married, his life was a wreck. Both his mother and his wife both expressed the wish that Karl would start earning some capital, right? Rather than just writing about it. People should know Marx's views on race, especially toward black people.
These racists must go. These racists must be charged.
Demonization.
These racists must be sent to jail. Enough is enough.
You see, there's your demonization.
He had hideous views toward black people. All stuff that should get him canceled. I don't believe in canceling anybody. But the things that the left is willing to cancel this or that American figure on because of maybe a statement about race or somebody who owned slaves. I mean, what Marx said about black people is unbelievable. You'll be reading.
When property is taken from the people, soon their dignity, faith, and families follow.
Yeah.
Letters in German between Marx and Engels, and all of a sudden, the N-word pops up. You know, the American.
Freedom is fragile, and history warns us. Never trust those who offer utopia at the price of your liberty.
English racial epithet, NIGG. It's not.
Under communism, the poor stay poor, and the powerful rule without accountability.
Like the German word for Negro or black. It's like, whoa, look at that. And they were, in fact, hit.
Nou kan ons hierso weer sê, never forget the cost of silence, complicity, and blind faith in the state. Never forget the cost of that.
Yeah. His daughter was married to a guy named Paul Lafargue, who was I guess,
communism
partly Cuban.
View religion as an opiate of the masses, used to pacify and control people. Daai julle nou. Die kommunisme sien godsdienst, kan 'n mens sê, godsdienst as 'n drug waarin jy wat jy drink sodat dit jou net kan sis of passief maak.
Yeah. To some degree, and Marx and Engels are sitting there trying to figure out in a letter, deducing with scientific accuracy how much N-word blood.
If we ignore the past, we risk repeating the nightmares it took generations to escape.
Scientific accuracy, how much N-word blood is in his veins. Is it 1/8? Is it 1/12?
Julle kan hierdie onderhoud gerus gaan kyk. Daar's hier een van Lucifer, daar's ook nog een daarna wat dan nou gepraat net oor die kommunisme. So ja, gaan kyk gerus hierdie stukkie onderhoud.
What we're seeing though is that South Africa is in the grips of a communist takeover.
Is dit dan ook hoekom ons dan nou kan sê dat Trump die ooste en die weste is dan nou ook in 'n konflik hierso sigbaar.
Ideological struggle. Yes.
Ideological struggle.
I think part of, if you take the macro picture, yes, this is an ideological struggle taking place in the country, and unfortunately, the losers are always the poor. That's why if you look at the gap that is opening up between the rich and the poor within the black community, let's start looking at them as well. If you look at their culture that is being taken away, if you look at their independence that is being taken away, if you look at how dependent they have become on the state. I mean, the first thing they did was give out those child grants. That's dependency. Then what they did is they've now given them work grants. That's dependency. That is all dependency on the state, and that is those systematic steps taken to impoverish them and make them dependent on the state. You see, the problem with the middle class, and that was the same problem that Stalin was facing in Russia, was that the middle class are educated, and the middle class are able to see the ineptness of the system. And we have that in South Africa as well, and that's what they're trying to get rid of. They're trying to get rid of that middle class. They have their own middle class that they create, which are part of the system, which are in the government system, which are already reliant on the state. They have those, and they will maintain those for your state control over the larger society. But that middle class that is outside of it, for them to implement their plan, they've got to get rid of that, unfortunately.
En daarmee gaan ons dan nou afsluit. Baie dankie vir hierdie lekker lang gesels, Richard. En ek dink as julle dan nou ook die media sien en hoor hoe hulle rapporteer, asseblief, julle het ons nommers hier in die kommentare en op ons blad, gaan soek ons nommer, stuur dit vir ons. Ons wil graag hierdie ouens so bietjie meer uitwys en ontbloot, maar dat ons vir mekaar sê dat daar systemiese genocide, volksmoord aan die gang is, dit is gewis. Die definisies pas 100% dit wat besig is om te gebeur. Ongelukkig is daar die ontkenning wat plaasvind en mense wat dit as prins doen, want hulle wil nie, hulle sien dit as 'n rassistiese ding, dat ons nou druk daarteen, omdat ons nou voel, ons word nou meer aangeval. Maar in elk geval, Richard, ons gaan weer 'n keer praat en tot 'n volgende keer. Mooi loop.